go. Here we go with Commsverse TV 2024 yet again. Everybody's back, but with a change. We'll cover that in a minute or two. Maren's here, Anouk is here, and we have Ben Nicolan from Tiger.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Cool. All right, so we got about 10 or 15 minutes. This is your first time at Mercedes World.
It is indeed.
And the first time at the event.
Yeah, very exciting. Lots of different distractions going on, both inside and outside the venue.
Yeah, that's true. And you haven't tried the cars yet. We had that conversation.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've been fortunately, we've been very busy this morning.
Nice, that's true.
How long did you stand watching the Formula One car over there?
Oh, it's a real spectacle, isn't it? Just all of the intricate bits and parts that you kind of like, in the garage in the pit, they make it look so easy. You don't realise there's so much to it.
No,
Yeah.
I was thinking about that earlier when we all had to walk out for the fire drill. Like, teams can change 4 tires in about 2.8 seconds, and to get everyone out of the conference center, that just took like 50 minutes or so.
Yes.
Yeah, and luckily there was no real problem other than just carrying on with the tradition. So
It's true. Maybe next year we need to do some artificial smoke to blow in here and
give
see.
everybody a reason.
see
when
how
they
that
went,
I
"Oh,
think
so
everyone
glad
would
I
move a
left."
lot faster.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Actually, that might be a good change all round. All right.
Put some purpose into it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
All right, good. So tell us what Tiger does.
So Tiger is a data analytics company. We've been around for a long time, just over 40 years actually.
40.
Yeah,
You
I
don't
can't
look
say
that
I was there
old.
the whole time, but I have been there 26 years. So it's a data analytics company. We've come from the legacy telephony world. We've moved along then partnering up with Microsoft into the now UC and collaboration market. So we've seen a lot of changes within the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And
But
you're
still, what do you do? It's a data analytics company, so that to me sounds like, that's like CIA, FBI, MI5 kind of shit. What do you do? What do you do with my data?
Well, we protect it and we secure it. That's the first most important thing. So we work with a number of companies, quite large organizations, typically sort of mid to large enterprises, lots of sites, some complex requirements. But primarily what we do is we take all of the sort of telemetry data from the events that are created using Microsoft Teams, whether it be meetings, peer-to-peer calling, telephony, and
Town halls, things like that.
Yeah. So screen sharing, video enablement, and we pull all of that from the Microsoft Graph API. We put it into warehouses, and we store it. So a lot of our customers have regulatory and compliance reasons that they have to maintain this data. And what we do is we put it into the hands of the people within that organization who can then make, good business decisions proven by the data that backs it up.
nice.
Like,
So
still, I don't know what you're doing.
So decisions are like, let's take a retailer, okay, and they're dealing with clients calling in, they want to order car parts, okay. If they're not answering those calls, they're going to ring one of their competitors, okay. So it's about real-time information that helps a company understand how they're either servicing their customers, how their employees are maybe embracing and interacting with their other colleagues, whether the call quality is good or bad, whether employees are using the devices that they've actually been provided by their organization. So, for example, I might invest in headsets, I might invest in equipment, and I find that my staff aren't using them, so I've wasted that investment. So it's all about transparency. Yeah, there's lots of great information available in the Microsoft tenant.
There is, yes.
And, it's our job to extract that and put it into the hands of the people that need it.
Okay, cool. So what kind of companies are pulling this kind of data? So what is your broad spectrum?
Yeah, it really does cover every vertical. So, for example, our customers are like Maersk, HSBC, Airbus, DB Schenker. They're the really big, large, global organizations.
Yeah.
And again, part of the complexity is how you actually can handle the data in real time. Okay, there's a huge amount of data created.
Generated, yeah.
The way that modern cloud APIs work is sometimes you've only got maybe three attempts before that data's lost. So we have to have a lossless collection service. We have to architect that it's that always on theory. And at that point, our customers can rely on having that data available.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm really intrigued now. Wondering what my company's going to be looking like with that data. So what is the weirdest thing you've found?
I mean, we can go back a few years and we found that certain execs used to like ringing cricket lines and getting the cricket score. And this is back in the day where premium numbers
premium
are very
lines cost
expensive.
money.
Yeah. And they just didn't realise it was like £1.50, £2, a minute. And they're just sitting there listening. This is before you could just go onto the BBC website
Of course,
and see everything. But there's some really strange anomalies that happen. Just people take for granted that things just work. Well, what happens when it doesn't work? So you have to dig into. You've got quite an important person on a call with someone, and it just cuts off. Well, they don't care why it cut off. They just see it as that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do to fix that?
So do you have a lot of tools that do that analysis, or do you just provide the data to the customers?
So we've got some visualization tools. We also, a lot of our customers will have their own data science teams or data analysts. So they will want to effectively use our data, which is very much around unified communications.
Yeah.
And they might want to actually consolidate that and merge it with other business-based data to actually create a much wider and broader kind of capability.
That's cool. Is it only Teams data that you collect?
No, so we can support Microsoft Teams, Cisco, we support Zoom, and a lot of our customers will use a mixed estate. So that's whether it's might be Teams for meetings, it might be Zoom for phone, it might be Cisco WebEx and dedicated instance. Again, these customers, they don't just big bang. They will have an existing estate which works. They want to transition users to obviously modern workplace, better solutions, better capabilities, but they can't deploy that globally without knowing what's happening today. So we provide a lot of consultancy services to our customers to help them understand what's going on right now. And then what we do is help them make better decisions around what they do contract, what they do renew. But like I said, it's that hybrid. You want to bring things together.
Yeah.
So if you bring your data together with other data in your organization, do you make it accessible with Power BI or some other tools that they can have the dashboards on it and reports and all of that?
So we provide our own data visualization and reporting, which is standard within the Prism product. But a lot of our customers will say to us, can we utilize that data and build Power BI dashboards, use other visualization tool sets, maybe integrate it into a wider data augmentation tool. We facilitate that. So what we guarantee to our customers is we will give you a view of it, but what you can rely on Tiger for is the actual acquiring that data, actually making it contextualized to your organization, and also securing that and making sure it's available for the period of time you need to retain it.
All right, so you can access the data and they can do whatever they want with it. But yes, then it's some extra features they need to buy with the software. Cool.
Nice, isn't it? What about end-to-end data? So I have an example where I have people that are driving a vehicle. They're actually trained drivers on a mobile device. They'll call into our team's call center, and then they'll get a call lost, or we'll need to get a call back or whatever. And very often that could end up stopping a train and costing several thousand euros of money. So can you cover that kind of literally endpoint to endpoint through multiple networks?
Yeah, so we get that full kind of, we call it cradle to grave. As soon as the call comes into the system, it doesn't matter whether you're using a mobile device, it doesn't matter whether you're using a fixed device, that session data is available. So what we will do is be able to actually sort of look at, right, why did it happen? Help you understand. We've actually got a really, really good opportunity going on at the moment in that kind of case study that you've just described, where they sometimes have weather impacts which cause phantom calls on emergency lines. And therefore,
Okay.
if they think there's an emergency in a certain environment, they have to stop the service because it is a potential risk to life. So if they can't identify that that's not a genuine emergency quickly, the cost impact to them is significant.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, that
Yeah.
kind of makes sense, really. I mean, there's a lot of information in there.
The story makes sense, but
You're
the
being
phantom,
cynical
the
here, aren't
phantom
you?
calls, that is just like
Oh,
weird to me. Is
But
that
you
like
got- you gotta imagine-
sun radiation or something like that? Or
yeah,
is that
literally. You can have phone calls made because it rains on a wooden pole down a country lane. It's quite possible.
You've got to remember, the infrastructure is still, in many places, 2 wires.
Yep.
And just water and metal, that's why you get
The
noise
wind,
on the line.
the wind blowing it, catching it, clacking it, ticking it, making calls.
That is crazy.
No, it's not. Well, you're too young, aren't you? That's the thing. Do you
I
never
just
make a
want
phone
to say,
call when you
Marine,
try
we
to
are
go?
too young to understand
What
that.
kind of caveman technology is this?
I mean, we could just get a string and 2 cups and we could talk to each other that way.
Yeah. Use pigeons.
Have you never seen those beautiful Victorian pictures of all the wires on the top of the telephone exchange buildings?
Yeah.
Well, imagine that
No, I
you
get the
get
point,
it, but you just don't
it's
think
like,
it exists anymore.
Wow.
Everybody's got fiber.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like earlier today we were going to have someone here as a speaker as well, and he had COVID, and I was like, is that still a thing? Is that still something that people get? I mean,
We're envious of Moraine. You know, we know he never worries about anything, or he just doesn't believe it happens, or he's not there. But
Ignorance
he
is
just
bliss.
sails straight through it. It's beautiful. But trust me, phantom calls happen. I used to be
Okay.
responsible for the 999 calls in London.
Yeah.
And we have a similar kind of fish.
But you have to look at the pandemic, and you mentioned COVID, like the transformation that came as a result of that. You know, it's like 10 years of transformation. Organisations that would probably never have made the changes that they have
No, I agree.
were forced to do so in a you know, it doesn't matter what the risk is, we just have to do it because otherwise we can't keep the lights on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
True.
never forget. We had a 999 call for the centre of London, for the report of a fire that came from Cornwall, over 400 miles away, and the reason that it came in was because there was a fire on a high building in London, and we must answer the calls. All right, but there was no technology to stop you doing that. So everybody called 999 in the centre of London because they could see the fire. So then any legitimate calls further out just kept getting pushed out and out until somebody in Cornwall got a phone call to say that the NatWest Tower in London is on fire, because the person in London could see it, but the only place that could answer the call was in Cornwall. Right? And that's the way the technology was there. And so this kind of technology goes, just a minute, that's stupid. It makes no sense.
Well, modern, you think nowadays you can go and get yourself a Tesla Starlink. You can sit in the middle of a field, and you're as connected as you are in the middle of London.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So you know, this is the thing. You don't know where anyone is nowadays. You don't really, virtual backgrounds are great because you're like, where are you? I'm in the middle of a field. Like, it's great. It's good for the employee. It's good for us. But it's you still need to know these things.
Yeah. Yeah, in certain circumstances. Back to the real world for you then,
Well,
Moraine, hey?
back to Teams for toilets, actually. We were talking earlier, Teams on the mobile phone
Let's
works
go there.
mostly because you're in the toilet and you want to do like chats or whatever. So
I don't think we need transparency of that.
No, we don't
well,
need the
maybe I want to have
description.
some analytics, like, oh, you kind of have like a lot of echo, maybe because of bad acoustics. Maybe you're in the toilet.
Maybe. Okay, and then what decisions would you make? Let's not go down that line.
No, just let's go to the lane. Why did Tiger choose to come to this event for the first time?
That's a great question. So we've
Great
been
question.
very aware of Commsverse, and we've always sort of supported a lot of our partner events because we typically have more of a channel model than a direct. And so we will go and spend time in their offices, but we've done previously larger events. We've done things like Cisco Live in the past. And I think we chose this event because we've kind of have decided we want to get back into putting ourselves out there. So myself, Caroline and Phil completed an MBO of Tiger last year. And for the last few years, we've been kind of a little bit under the covers. We haven't really got out there, pushed ourselves as much. So following that, we've been launching some new products and services. We've been pushing to acquire new partners, new customers, and we're kind of going, right, we want to get our name out there. And it's been fantastic today that we've actually come and we're down the other end, which, you know, it's still lots of people walking around. But we've had people come to our stand and go, oh, Tiger, I know you guys. And, you know, that's the magic of coming to an event like this, okay? We also, you know, it's a common joke. We know our competitors. They know us. We've all been in the industry for so long. It's actually fantastic just to come across and go, right, how's things going? Let's have a chat. Let's catch up. And actually, partnerships are born from events like this.
Agreed. Yeah.
And just, you know, the opportunities are pretty endless if you're open-minded. The technology moves on so fast. The applications of that technology as well. So for us, it's just a fantastic opportunity.
Oh, we're so glad that it's good fun. I'm fine that next year when we talk to you, we'll have some great stories about how this has benefited you and where you're going.
Absolutely. You know, we've met existing customers. We've one of the funny ones, I spoke to one of my customers who's got an invoice outstanding today. And he sort of said, I can't believe procurement haven't paid for that yet. And I was like, that's excellent. Well, that's paid for the event.
Yes.
So, but we sort of, we will definitely be booking for next year.
Nice, that's
really
good news.
impressed. Venue's great, people are great, the sponsorship, the support is great. So, yeah, excellent event for us.
Nice, and best of luck with the MBO and how it pans out for the next year.
Yeah, well, we've all been there a long time, so now it's just about having that next 5 to 7 year plan and kind of how we're going to achieve what we want.
Agreed. Well, best of luck with that. Thank you, Ben, and we will look forward to catching you next week.
Brilliant.
Next year, rather.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
That's
there you
good.
go.
Yes.
You never thought of numbers.
Oh no, of course not. No. But
Amazing.
I'm a caveman. I mean, I have no idea. Maybe I'm not a caveman. Maybe I'm more of a Gen Z kind of person. I just expect everything to work without
That's
knowing
not
the
a bad
full backstory
expectation.
from where are we coming from and how did we get here. I just I'm here now. So
You see, if you'd have been with us on Monday
Yes,
when we
you
were
can,
trying to pull all this together, you'd have realised it doesn't always just work.
I
There
know,
we
but
go.
I'm a Fast and the Furious person. So like family.
Is that what it is? You're more than welcome. Adrian, my friend, how you doing? Adrian Sturdy.
Yes.
That's a good, solid name.
It
I
is a
couldn't
solid
resist
name.
that. Could not resist that.
A
I
lot
do
of
apologise.
teasing at school, though, I have to say.
I can
though,
well
'cause
imagine.
It rhymes with other things that children
Yes,
like
I
to.
can imagine. Yeah.
But
Oh,
a very
well.
solid name.
He's
They've
thinking.
just got it. They've just got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Toilet for teams.
Okay.
All right, good. So, welcome from Code.
Hello and welcome to you all.
Yeah.
I love that shirt. That's pretty dope.
Well, we go with the golf theme on the stand, and we were here last year, and last year it was very sunny, like it is this year.
Yeah.
And we needed to wear shorts, so we needed an excuse, so we chose a golf theme.
Of course. That works.
It
I
worked,
noticed
yeah.
that we don't have any swag of them on the table.
Yes, we do.
The
We
golf
have the golf balls.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Theme.
Yes.
He came and put his balls on the table earlier. It's getting later in the afternoon.
No, we don't go there.
Too late.
No jokes on our stand about balls and
None at
handling
all.
things.
Golf balls, I like it. Because you've been doing the golf thing for a while. I remember
Yeah.
playing it, I think the first year. Did you do the
Yeah,
first year?
so we've been doing it probably about 5 or 6 years now. So it's our theme. So the golf shirts are nice to wear in the hot weather as well. So it just works for us. And yeah, they've got blinds though this year that we're really happy
Yes.
about.
Yeah.
Whereas they
can
didn't
imagine.
have those last year. So, it
So
was a
do
bit
you do
more-
golf days and things like this then? Is golf the thing? We all play
do.
golf, let's use
yeah.
it.
Our CEO likes golf.
Yeah.
So it's just the theme that stuck. But lots of our partners like it. Not so much the customers, because customers aren't allowed usually to go on partner provided days anymore, like
Yeah.
the good old days 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do quite a few partner events with other organisations, and golf seems to be a common thing that people like to get out and about to enjoy the countryside.
No, it's
Yeah.
good. So Code is the name of the company. Your product is Clubber.
It is.
It's a great
Don't-
name,
Don't
Clubber.
ask me how it came about, because I wasn't there.
So
at
how
the
did the
time.
name come about?
I think they went through about 30 different names, and Clobber was the one that stuck. Is the
Nice.
short version
It's
of the
a-
answer.
it's a cool
but
name.
it's memorable, so we wanted to create something that was memorable, and I've gone to events and people say, where do you work? I say, code. And they said, what do you do? We say, we do analytics for Microsoft. And they go, oh, we use Clobber. And you're like, that's our product. So it does have a really good effect when you're talking to people. And because we've been doing analytics for unified communications right back to Microsoft Lync for 10 years ago when that was around, people have used our solutions, and we've still got customers that have done that migration from Lync to Skype for Business and now to Teams. So we have customers that go back 10 years, which is great because our customer retention is right up there, and it's a great thing to have those customers been around for that long.
No,
That's
it's true.
amazing, yeah.
You also price it right. I mean, the product is a no-brainer to sort, even though it's took me 6 months to sign an invoice or a purchase order, but it is a no-brainer product. The value is immense.
Yeah, the value really comes through for the customers. Microsoft do the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
It works for 80% of the customers, but that last mile value has always been the thing. And I actually sold Clobber in my previous organisation when I worked for a systems integrator. I worked for them for 7 years, and customers would always ask for the additional information that Microsoft didn't go down to, because they don't want to go down to that user level, to that granular level where they're giving customers the data because they're worried about GDPR and they're worried about other issues that they may face. And that granularity of detail allows us to really enhance the user experience and also the productivity of the organisation. They need to make informed business decisions, whether they put more people on between 10 and 12 because that's when the most calls are received into the organisation.
No,
or
I get
they
it.
can
It's
see
good.
the busy periods and the slack periods as well as who's performing well. And that makes a really big difference for organisations, especially if they have small sort of contact centre light teams, and that's where we really fit into the market. We're not one of the big players out there, but we're priced reasonably that we sit at a level and we know where we sit nicely for customers.
No, it's good. Anouk's going to cover a question in a second. I just wanted to step in, but I find that the product's cheap enough not to even bother doing it yourself. So you can get to that data. We all got access to the logs. You can get business analytics and all BI and all that kind of stuff in there. But actually, why bother when you've got Clobber sitting there at a price that's reasonable and the value is good?
It is a time versus money question.
It is.
If you have the time to go away and do it, should you not be spending that time focusing on other business revenue generating areas?
No,
Because
exactly.
We're not a massively expensive solution, and for that, the ROI of our solution really comes to the fore when you actually put the numbers of the time and the effort that people are looking at those things. And we've got customers here today, and I've spoken to one, he's been a Clobber customer for 5 years, and he always used to build his own analytics. But he said, it's just easy. I go on, I click the button, I get my answer, I send the email off, my IT team do what they need to do, I don't even think about it anymore. And that's that productivity and that time saving is huge, because he's a very senior person and a well-paid person, and he doesn't want to be spending 2 or 3 hours going through Excel spreadsheets, getting to underlying data and then putting it all together and sending it to someone when he can have the answer in less than a minute.
So talking about ROI, data, outcome, how do you guys deliver a better outcome to your customers?
Well, better outcomes through the access to the data and the usability. So the platform, the Clobber 2 platform that we've brought out now is completely drag and drop dashboards. The saving of dashboards so that you can configure your dashboards to get to the data that you want to see. So a telephony guy can see all of his telephony data. A HR person can see all of their HR data. And individuals who are managers of departments or managers of divisions only want to see that data. So the ability to filter the analytics and the data just to what you want to see, to save it and have it there at the click of a button. And we've also just delivered a Teams application. So we're surfacing in the Teams app the data that's in Clobber, but delivering it there inside the Teams experience so that people can access it. And basically, we've brought in the conversational AI so that if somebody wasn't familiar with the Clobber platform and the drag and drop, they can simply go into the user interface within Teams, type in a question or ask it a question, and it will deliver the contact card or the data in a digestible format without having to know our platform. So that user experience for us is what we've listened to the customers, and the customers have told us that's what they want. So we deliver based on the customer requirements that we hear back. And as a product director, my job is to go out and listen to those customers, collate that data that they're telling they want us to deliver and show, and deliver that in an easy to consume manner.
So
Nice.
in what way is the AI Copilot thing that's now rolling out, how is that gonna impact your business? Because that data might be surfaceable by the default Copilot later on in the...
Yeah, we've looked into this, and we've tried to emulate what we do in our platform out of the standard Copilot. And because Microsoft don't go down to that level of data at this moment, we haven't been able to replicate what we can do. So I'm sure, Microsoft being Microsoft, that it will get better. I mean, you only have to look back 6 months ago and see what Copilot was like 6 months ago to know that these things will come out. But customers want the usability, the
ease.
And if you can give somebody a dashboard that's fully configured to their needs, that they can access within a millisecond, and it gives them the 8 answers that they need, rather than going asking a chatbot or a co-pilot, their data's there. Their data's always up to date. There are definitely fits for Copilot, and people will go away and build their own Copilots, and that's great. But a lot of customers, it goes back to that time and that experience and that money thing. Do you want to give an expensive Copilot license to somebody at $30 a month, where you're getting what you get from our solution for a fraction of that cost for the annual period that you're paying for one Copilot license for a month? So it's horses for courses, as we say. There is going to be that 80-20 rule. Microsoft may do 80% of the market, but the 20% is where we will definitely play. And most of the other partners in here will still continue to be successful for some time to come, because Microsoft won't close that last mile delivery to the user.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I think that's correct. I mean, the 80-20 rule has been around a long time. That's why the partner network's there. So that's good. So in terms of license adoption and those kinds of things within Clubber, how are you benefiting your customers with those kind of adoptions of licenses? And I'm guessing you're identifying licenses are needed, not needed, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a great question. And license adoption was born out of that customer feedback. You do great analytics and you do great adoption around Teams. You're getting that Teams underlying data. Can you get the same data out about our license usage out of Graph? So we tap into the Microsoft Graph API, we get the data out, we work with licensing specialists, we understood a lot about licensing, but not everything about licensing. So we work with the licensing service providers to understand what the licensing utilization would need to be across the different licensing plans, because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
And we started out with the Teams calling plans and the Teams voice to see who was using it, because we had that in Clubber already. And we then just expanded it out into people using E5 licenses, the trackable workloads, the likes of the Teams pieces, but Power BI and other things. So you could see if a user was on a licensing E5 plan and wasn't using all of the things that made E5 viable, they'd be using all of the licensing plans within E3. So that adoption, we actually get a lot of references from Microsoft where they come to us and say, my customer needs this information. We're rolling out E5 across the board, but they need to drive up the adoption of the licenses. But we need to know where to focus, because that level of detail doesn't come out of the admin center and doesn't come out of the Microsoft platforms that they give you. So we play nicely with Microsoft, and we sometimes go into organizations where they've grown by acquisition. They've had 5 companies come together. They have no idea what their licensing looks like, and we help them to optimize and then drive up the adoption as well. So license adoption has been really successful for us because we play nicely with Microsoft, and Microsoft probably give us as many leads as
Yeah.
we generate ourselves.
No, it's cool. I'm looking forward to, as to say, we've just bought it to handle some specific dashboarding, and we're finding a lot more is available through it. So that is very true. It works very, very well indeed. And as I said, for us, it really was a bit of a no-brainer. And we needed simple things like lost calls, missed calls, that kind of stuff. And I'm assuming now within Teams, and we haven't looked at it since, within Teams they'll be able to find out themselves, have I missed any calls today, and whatever, that kind of stuff.
And the Teams app was developed so somebody doesn't have to have a massive training session on our application. They just literally go into the Teams app and ask it the question they want answered, and it will come back with those, whether it be a graphical contact card with the person's picture, how many answered calls they've had, what the analytics are, or it might be show me the trend graph for the call answering today, or the longest waiting time. It's really easy to interact with, and everything we've done around the solution for the new platform for Clobber 2 has been around that user experience, because if you make good user experience, people will use it. We've all used technology where we've used it once, where it was a really bad user experience.
We're back to
and you don't go
Copilot
back
again.
And use it a second time. It's simple.
Yeah.
You just don't go back to bad user interfaces.
No, that's really good.
Sure.
Really good. All right. Well, we've had lots of analytics on this afternoon. I have to say, one that's talking about the baseline stuff has been a real pleasure to hear, actually. I quite like that. Anything else from anybody else? Otherwise, we'll wish Adrian on his way. He can go and close some more deals. No? We're all good. There
Ice
we go.
cream. I'm off to get ice cream.
Ice cream.
Yeah.
All right. Enjoy yourself, Adrian.
Okay.
Thanks,
some
guys.
for
us.
Thanks for having
Thank you
me.
very
Cheers.
much.
Thanks. See you later.
Bye.
Analytics. Wow.
Analytics.
Yeah.
It's a field I know nothing about.
No, but you know those event logs are all in play.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Hey, buddy.
Hey,
Hey
Peter.
guys, how are you?
Not bad at all.
Sweaty.
Can we just ask you to.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's really hot down here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that why you went back to the speaker room?
Yes, it's the only place which is air conditioned in this whole building. So
Oh,
Yeah.
so the aircon in all of the other rooms is broken as well.
Well,
actually, I haven't been in any of the session rooms, so I'm hoping my
The-
session room is air conditioned.
There is
as well.
aircon normally.
It's.
I think they get
yeah.
up. As I said to everybody, it asks, this building is designed to put 40 cars in and 30 people looking at them. So
Yeah,
they air
it's not
condition for
designed
that. They
for a
don't air
conference.
condition it for 500 people.
Ah.
It was a design error.
Ah,
So
well.
something they need to fix. As I
But-
say, that cable up there, that big thick cable, that 60 amp cable, we've had to install that just to provide enough power down the middle of the exhibition space for all of the
I can imagine,
exhibitors.
yeah.
So that's cool. If
But
I can
you
just
have
ask you
some ice
just a
cream.
second.
I just had to.
I just need you to speak a little close to the microphone, Peter. That's
Oh, yeah,
all.
sorry,
It's
is that
ju- no,
okay?
no,
You can
yeah,
you
good.
can move it
move
around
it.
if you
Can I
want.
move
Yeah.
it around
Yeah.
a little bit?
It's just designed to do very low.
There you go.
Catching
Is that
the
better?
noise.
That's about height for
Perfect.
me. Yeah. Yeah. I was.
Perfect.
After I said I went back upstairs, I saw they did ice cream, and they said, "Oh, it won't be on until 3:30." So I came back down because I saw you outside earlier, and it was like I made the mistake of doing a Teams call outside. That was a
Oh.
really bad mistake. A 45-minute call outside was a bit too much.
But you can walk.
So
you
I
know.
am expecting that it's warm outside then.
Yes,
It
it
is,
is very
yes.
warm outside.
So who's going to be on ice cream duty? Because if we wait another half an hour, it will all be gone.
No. There's a big line for ice cream
It's quite
right
a big
now.
line,
so
yeah. What you want to do is either time it just before the sessions end or just as they're starting. Because
There
I've
we
noticed
go.
the food stays out for like 5 minutes after
Yeah.
the session starts. So
There we go.
No ice cream for me then.
I know you have to go and
Oh.
get ready for your presentation.
Oh.
Yeah.
you're presenting at the same time as me.
Yes.
Now you've got the next one as well. Emily.
Yeah,
Yes, you said earlier.
But now I realise that it's a 4:45, not 4:15, because it's moved because of the fire alarm.
Fire
this
drill.
Yeah.
morning. Oh, so you
Right.
got more time for ice cream.
Yeah.
That's all
More
good
food. Like
news.
all I do at conferences is eat salt and sugar,
Yes.
Yes.
just to keep you going.
Yeah.
I think I've had a bag of crisps, a burger, 2 chocolate bars, and some ice cream.
That sounds like a perfect
That's
diet.
like my
yeah.
that's like my 6-year-old niece's diet.
So we've been talking analytics this section. We've had Clobber in behind us talking about their assessment of MS Teams and figures and numbers, and we had Call Cabinet in doing their
Tiger.
detailed, and we had
Tiger.
sorry
Tiger.
Tiger in, yes,
Yeah.
doing their their Teams allocations as well. And you are doing a session on managing and measuring or something external
maybe
access.
we need to let Peter tell who he is. Explain who he is for the people that don't know who he is.
Don't everyone know who I am?
By now they should, actually.
They should.
Yes.
So, a brief introduction. I'm Peter Badley. I've worked in the Microsoft and SharePoint and Teams space for about 20 years, despite my youthful looks. I day-to-day work for Provision Point and also our parent company Efficiency. So I head up our Microsoft sales and delivery team, delivering products and services on the Microsoft cloud. That's me. My session today is on external access. Configuring it and auditing it essentially. So the reason why it's relevant for this event, I actually presented the same session at Commsverse Next, the sister event in Denver. And I think it really works well for both sides of the Teams audience, so both the Teams collaboration and the Teams communication, but especially Teams communication, because they don't necessarily know all the things about how to manage external access. They don't understand necessarily the difference between sharing links, guest users, shared channels. They don't necessarily know how to configure them, how to restrict them, and then also how you can actually potentially report on them as well. So understand where information is shared, who's got access to it, and then potentially make controls over it, because ultimately we want to keep stuff in Teams because it's much better than people using something else. But if we don't know how to manage it effectively, then it's a real problem. And I actually like coming to events like this to speak. Well, I know all of you is SharePoint events, and it's quite nice to step a little bit outside of your comfort zone, speak to an audience who don't necessarily know that world very well, and actually you can introduce a topic to people which they didn't know about. And that's what I found when I presented it out in Denver, and I'm hoping for the same today.
Nice.
Yes.
That's good. How do you report on it?
Sorry?
How do you report on it? Because I don't have time to come to your session.
So I think the problem is it's a really mixed scenario, and that's the problem, because we're dealing with things like sharing links, which is really a SharePoint thing.
Yeah.
We're dealing with shared channels, which is really a Teams and Azure thing, and then we're dealing with guests, which are really a Microsoft 365 group and Azure thing. It's lots of different places, and that's the challenge as administrators. If we want to run a sharing links report, we have to go to the SharePoint Admin Center, and then dependent on the license you've got, you then see different reports. If we want to control guest access, there's sorts of ways we can do it with PowerShell, but we really have to do it with sensitivity labels now, and then understand how our sensitivity labels are assigned, and then start to explore Azure reporting and access reviews in Azure to manage guest access. And then shared channels, we're looking in either the SharePoint Admin Center or the Teams Admin Center. So from an administration perspective, it's not easy actually. And that's really part of what I'm trying to say today is it's not a small task. And a Teams admin who probably sits in the Teams Admin Center all day and configures things or runs PowerShell.
Yeah, we set services up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They've got to suddenly go into a whole new world. They've got to go into a world of SharePoint admin screens or Purview, and you can, interestingly, although it's quite you get a lot out of it, that you can get some interesting reports out of the Microsoft 365 audit logs in Purview as well. So it's about really giving people an understanding of, hey, there are actually 3 or 4 admin centers you've got to go and learn beyond the Teams admin center if you want to effectively do this. And the point I hopefully will come across in the session is, here's the options. And then bear in mind, if you do this, you're going to have to report on those different options in different places. So it's a new type of skill set, and exposing that to people. Because I think the other thing which is important is people might go, oh, well, we won't do it. But what a lot of people don't realize is it's all turned on, except shared channels where you have to do some configuration. Guest access is turned on in your tenant unless you've turned it off.
Correct,
Sharing links are enabled often for anyone in your tenant unless you've decided to change that. So actually, you have got to go and deal with this.
The focus should be on management.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to consider, because again, some people might think, oh, let's just turn it off. We don't need it. But if you turn it off, where are you going to share your files? If you need to work with a contractor, a customer, a supplier, where are you going to, how are you going to do that? Are you going to let your users go into their tenant? Are you going to let your users use an external non-Microsoft 365 service? at least if it's in your environment, in your teams, you can audit it, you can apply your controls, you can apply your retention. The moment that data leaves your tenant, you're not in control of it anymore.
No,
and so
true.
external access and managing it is really important for that very reason.
If only there was AI to help us.
Well, I think this is where I actually did a webinar with one of our partners yesterday, and it was all about content sprawl. And AI came up as one of the topics, and AI is relevant for this external access scenario as well. AI can help us in terms of organizing our content and also discovering our content, but we've got to make sure we've structured that content well, secured that content well. AI, which is what I said yesterday, AI at least is truthful, so it will tell you the truth, generally speaking, and so you will ask it a question and it will say, well, you've got access to this, I'll give you this answer. Well, that might not be the answer your organization wants you to give, but that's the reality of the answer.
And if you don't have access to it, you won't get the answer.
Exactly.
That's just the other side of the
and
coin.
that's why I'm sure all of you have the same. There's so much topic about AI, but actually one of the biggest pieces of work I'm seeing at the moment is for readiness assessment, preparedness. Is our tenant Copilot ready? Is our environment AI ready? We can use AI to then improve that and sort some of that out, but we've got to make sure it's ready to be able to leverage these tools as well.
Nice.
Yes. Many organizations are not ready for it, but turn it on, AI, and see what's going to happen. So it's a bad use case, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I see in some ways the challenges around AI, same problems which we saw when Delve came along, was it 4 or 5 years ago? And everyone went crazy because suddenly this portal which showed loads of documents which you had access to, which you never knew you had access to. And that caused all sorts of problems. And it's the same. The only difference is everyone's more excited about it than they were with search.
Yep.
Yeah. So what are 2 things that I can do to make my tenant AI ready?
I think the first one is the life cycle of your content. You've got to think about what is the life cycle of your content. The biggest challenge around AI is then finding either out-of-date information, so finding an out-of-date price list to use, finding an out-of-date marketing asset to share, or finding personal data or the CEO's salary information or whatever the information is. It's the same problem with external sharing. If you're sharing files, you need to have life cycle around it to ensure that if you've shared price lists with your customers or suppliers, that actually it maintains and is then appropriately disposed of. So that's one. And then the second one is permissions. Sharing links, I think, is one of the biggest problems, because sharing links, a lot of people just assume it's an external sharing thing. It can also be used to share information internally as well. I worked with one client who will stay anonymous, but they had a SharePoint site which they built a really fantastic front page to, where listing all of their documents. It had about 300 links to documents on that homepage. Every single one of those links was an individual sharing link.
Yeah.
With each unique permission. So then when a person wanted to come and join the organization and you needed to grant them access, to access to 300 files.
Yeah.
And you can get your permissions really right at one level, at like the teams layer with your owners and members, and then there's a lot of lifecycle management around those elements. But the moment you start to break permissions or share files or other things like that, then there's all these individual permissions, and that's where AI will end up exposing data which you didn't realize was exposed to people. And so I think that's the second one, which is getting on top of your sharing links.
No, I think what we need is AI to actually be able to do proper assessments of what I can see and what people can see.
Tell me all the documents in this site that are shared with other people that have sharing links, because now there's like zero visibility on that.
No.
I can see my document library, I cannot see which files are shared with who.
And I think that's the hardest thing to audit in an environment as well. You can do it with guest users. There's things like access reviews and other things like that.
Yeah.
Shared channels, there's relatively easy ways of auditing and understanding that. Sharing links, trying to actually go through the process of going through each link and looking at who's it shared with, then write that down with somewhere, and then I'll do the next one, and then I'll do the next one.
Yeah.
It will take half an hour on each site, and then it's your team, and if you've got 100 teams, it's a lot of work. And I think how AI and other tools can be leveraged to help that side of things is going to be really important moving forwards. And I think you're right, it's the next evolution of AI is how we can use AI to assess our tenant to be ready to use AI.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
It's a bit like you using AI to write AI prompts.
Yes.
No, that's cool.
My other favourite AI thing at the moment is I for my sins, I also head up our sales team. I'm the least salesy salesperson, but whenever I get RFPs or other proposals, the sales team send to me, and I'm like, right, okay, how much of that did you do in ChatGPT?
Yes.
Because I don't know about everyone else, but you can read ChatGPT.
You can, yes.
There's a way
Yes.
it presents its information. There's even a way it always sort of puts in numbers to structure points, and it's a format, and you're like, right,
Yeah,
at least
been
change
there.
that before you send it to me.
Yeah,
No, it's fun.
that's true.
Oh, this is cool insight.
Yeah.
Neat. So we've looked at analytics in this session at all kinds of different levels, starting off with the most complex and then getting more and more practical, and then finishing off with a subsidy of Peter's presentation, which he's about to go and give.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I thought I was really pleased when I did it over in Denver, because it was a session which, if I took this to a SharePoint event, because like you said, it builds up through
Yeah.
different stages. We start off with this is what the tool set is. Then we go into how you can configure and control it, and then we go into auditing it. Really, until the last 5-10 minutes, a SharePoint collaboration audience will be like, well, we know this stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas this audience, because a lot of it will be new to them, and it's an area they're aware of, but they're not really sure how to control or manage it.
Yep.
It's really interesting, and I really enjoy stepping out of my comfort zone and coming to events like this or other events outside of my core world and talking to that and bringing my expertise to that world, because I find it's really interesting. But also I learn stuff as well. So I learn stuff about what Teams comm stuff, which honestly scares me some of the time.
No, it's true.
Excites me. Like every time I go into a meeting room and there's some cool tech set up on screens and stuff like that, I'm like, this is very cool.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
no idea how it's configured.
Major tone to
No.
change control.
And
yeah.
there are some really cool things coming as well, like the digital signage
Yeah.
for Teams rooms. I think that is brilliant. I haven't seen anyone here talk about it or display any of it or have it as a third-party solution. So
Nice.
I think next year there will be some.
Yeah.
I think it's also how much we've moved on, and obviously COVID sort of accelerated that. But you think, like, I'm sure you were that. You used to be like the phone sitting in the middle of the table when you were not in a physical meeting room 5
Yeah.
years ago, and you were just a speaker, and like people might have asked your opinion, but they didn't always. Whereas
Yes.
now,
Yeah.
often it's a really collaborative experience where we can all work together. And so, how the technology has moved forward, and how people rely on Teams as well. Like, I wrote a blog quite a few years ago, which was about people hate SharePoint, but they tolerate Teams. Like, I always used to, if you go down the pub or something with someone, and they go, you go, what do you do? And I go, I work with SharePoint. And they go, oh, I hate SharePoint. So I just stopped saying I worked with SharePoint. And then I said I was a binman because I clean stuff up, yeah? And then Teams, everyone, people go, oh yeah, I work
They
with
use
Teams.
Teams.
that,
You
yeah,
get
yeah.
used to it. It's how it enables me to only go in the office 2 days a week. It's how I work. It's how when I'm traveling, I can easily communicate. It's how I can do a Teams call outside at a conference center.
Nice.
And people tolerate the frustrations around it. They tolerate the fact that Microsoft's changed stuff and now I can't do things with it. But then we know that a week later it will go back and it will work the way we used to use it. So
No,
people
cool.
accept it, it works. And I think
Yeah.
that natural adoption and buy-in is why it's been so successful.
No, I think that's true. Well, I think we're getting close to ice cream time. The queue's going
I
down.
think so,
That
yeah.
queue
We
is
definitely
slowly
need-
going down.
Yeah,
so
we definitely need ice
very
cream.
good.
Yeah.
They've got about 6 different ice creams. So
Good.
Nice,
nice
bit of
flavour.
variety. Let's try every one.
Let's try them all.
Yeah, dead right. Peter, thank you very much for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Great to speak to you again.
Have fun at your
it's
session.
fun.
pretty
Thank you,
cool.
everyone.
All right. So Commsverse TV 2024. That was episode, I've lost count.
4.
4. We're told it's 4. Excellent. So it's episode 4. We'll catch you on the next one.